The Jaguars are rolling into Vegas with a 4-3 record, ready to handle business against a struggling Raiders squad that just got absolutely demolished 31-0 by the Chiefs, and honestly looks like they're already thinking about next year's draft picks. But here's the deal, Duval faithful Trevor Lawrence is suiting up and ready to ball out with 0 injuries holding him back, which is exactly what we need to hear right now, because this offense is about to click on all cylinders against a Las Vegas defense that's been getting torched all season long. And let me tell you something, the energy around this team after the bye week is absolutely electric, because Doug Peterson had extra time to scheme up some absolute fireworks for this matchup. And you better believe Trevor's licking his chops looking at this Raiders secondary that's been getting carved up week after week. Now let's be real about the elephant in the room, losing Travis Hunter to that brutal non-contact knee injury that sent him to IR definitely stings, because that rookie was flashing serious potential and bringing that energy we love to see. But here's why Jaguars fans should be absolutely fired up about today. Our defense, led by the absolute monster Josh Hines-Allen, is about to feast on Geno Smith, who's throwing more picks than touchdowns this season with a brutal 34.4 QBR compared to Trevor's 41. 9, and when you've got Devin Lloyd patrolling the middle with 4 interceptions already, despite being questionable with that calf issue, plus Foye Seder-Lurken, making plays all over the field with 2 forced fumbles, you've got a recipe for creating absolute chaos in that Vegas backfield and forcing Smith into those mistakes he's been making all year long. And here's what gets me even more hyped. Trevor's getting his full starting offensive line back together, which means he'll actually have time to survey the field and pick apart this Raiders defense that honestly looks lost out there right now, trying to figure out their identity while we're out here in playoff mode, pushing for that division crown that's absolutely within reach if we take care of business against teams like this that are clearly in tank mode, whether they admit it or not. Brian Thomas Jr. is ready to break out in a massive way today, because this kid's been showing flashes with 365 yards already, and he's hungry for that first major explosive game where he takes over and reminds everyone why Jacksonville was so excited to have him, and with Travis Etienne Jr. averaging a healthy 3 yards per carry on, 97 attempts. This ground game is going to pound Las Vegas into submission while opening up those play-action shots downfield that Trevor loves to take. And honestly, when you look at the Raiders' rushing defense, they've been getting gashed by every competent run game they've faced. So expect Doug to establish that physical Jaguars identity early and often, because Ashton Jeanty's only averaging 4. 0 yards per attempt for Vegas, which tells you everything about how their offensive struggles are affecting time of possession and keeping their defense fresh, and exhausted units make mistakes, which means more opportunities for our pass rush and secondary to create those game-changing turnovers that flip momentum completely. The Raiders are bringing back Brock Bowers from that knee injury, which sure he's talented and gives them a spark, but one tight end isn't going to save an offense that put up a goose egg against Kansas City and looked absolutely lifeless doing it. Because when your quarterback is Geno Smith and he's struggling with consistency, you need way more than just one receiving weapon to get things going, especially against a Jaguars defense that's been studying film all bye week and knows exactly how to take away your best options and force you into uncomfortable 3rd and long situations, where Josh Hines-Allen and our edge rushers can absolutely terrorize the pocket. Max Crosby is their defensive centerpiece, and yes, he's playing through that back injury with 4 sacks, already showing why he's one of the league's premier pass rushers. But here's the thing, one dominant defender can't stop an entire offense, especially when Trevor has time to work and multiple weapons to distribute to, because football is the ultimate team game, and Las Vegas just doesn't have the overall talent or depth to hang with a Jaguars squad that's healthier, more motivated, and frankly, just better at every position group across the board. And that 2-5 record speaks volumes about where they are as a franchise right now compared to our 4-3 start that has us right in the thick of the playoff conversation with everything still ahead of us. The coaching advantage is massive here too, because Doug Peterson is a Super Bowl winning coach who knows exactly how to game plan for vulnerable defenses and exploit every single weakness Las Vegas is showing on tape, while their coaching staff is basically auditioning for next year, wondering if they'll even have jobs come January, when the inevitable changes happen for a franchise that's been spinning its wheels since leaving Oakland, and honestly hasn't found any kind of consistent identity in Vegas yet beyond just showing up and hoping something works, which isn't a recipe for success against disciplined, well-coached teams like what Jacksonville is building. This Vegas offensive line has been getting dominated all season, which is why they're only averaging 0 yards per rush, and why Geno Smith is getting pressured, constantly leading to those 10 interceptions in just 7 games. And when you create pressure and confusion up front, everything else falls apart, because receivers can't get open, quarterbacks make panic throws, and the entire offensive rhythm just disintegrates, which is exactly what Jacksonville's defensive front is going to impose today, with our linebackers flying around, making plays sideline to sideline. Devin Lloyd being questionable with that calf is something to monitor, but even if he's limited, we've got the depth to handle a Raiders offense that's been one-dimensional at best and completely inept at worst, like that embarrassing shutout loss that's still fresh in everyone's mind, because getting blanked 31-0 doesn't just happen to NFL teams unless there are serious fundamental problems happening across the entire roster and coaching staff. Trevor Lawrence has thrown 9 touchdowns against 5 interceptions, which isn't elite, but shows he's taking care of the football better than Smith and making winning plays when it matters most, and with an extra week to prepare and get healthy, there's no doubt he's going to come out slinging it with confidence and precision against a secondary that's given up big plays all year long to quarterbacks with way less talent and supporting casts than what Jacksonville brings to the table every single Sunday. The Jaguars' overall cohesion and team chemistry after regrouping during the bye week gives us that intangible edge you can't measure in stats, but shows up when games get tight and you need players making winning plays in crunch time, because Jacksonville has playoff experience guys who've been there before and understand what it takes to win these kind of must-win road games against desperate opponents, while Vegas is just trying to survive the season and start thinking about who they'll draft in the top 10 next April when the 2026 draft rolls around. This matchup screams Jaguars domination from start to finish, because we match up favorably at every level, offense, defense, and special teams. And when you're the more talented, more motivated team with better coaching and momentum on your side, you go into enemy territory and take what's yours without hesitation or doubt. Las Vegas lacks the defensive flexibility to counter Jacksonville's versatile attack that can beat you on the ground through the air, with misdirection and with explosive plays that flip field position and create scoring opportunities in the blink of an eye, and their offense simply doesn't have enough weapons or protection to keep pace if this turns into a shootout, which it very well could if the Jaguars jump out to an early lead and force Vegas to abandon their game plan and start throwing desperation passes that our secondary will be sitting on, waiting to jump routes and create those highlight reel interceptions. The 4:05 p.m. ET kickoff at Allegiant Stadium gives our team plenty of time to get acclimated to the environment and settle into their game without feeling rushed and having that West Coast trip after a bye week when guys are rested and refreshed is actually perfect timing, because bodies feel good, minds are sharp, and there's genuine excitement to get back on the field and prove the doubters wrong who've been questioning whether Jacksonville can sustain success and make a legitimate playoff push. Travis Etienne Jr. is about to have a monster game on the ground, because this Raiders run defense is Swiss cheese getting gashed for huge chunks consistently, and when you can establish that physical running game, it sets up everything else. Offense becomes easy. Trevor gets into rhythm. The play action works perfectly and suddenly you're moving the chains at will, marching down the field, scoring points and demoralizing an opponent that's already mentally beaten before they even step on the field. Because they know they're overmatched and just hoping to stay competitive, which isn't exactly a winning mentality when you're facing a hungry Jaguars team that's trying to make a statement. Key names to remember from this matchup: Trevor Lawrence, our franchise quarterback, leading the charge, Brian Thomas Jr., ready to explode, Josh Hines, Allen, terrorizing quarterbacks, Foyesade, Olwoken, making plays everywhere, Devin Lloyd, the interception machine, Travis Etienne Jr. pounding the rock, and on the Raiders side, Geno Smith struggling with consistency, Brock Bowers returning from injury, Max Crosby fighting through pain, Ashton, Jeanty trying to establish the run, and Trey Tucker looking for big plays downfield, but ultimately lacking the supporting cast to consistently threaten our defense that's been getting better each week. The summary here is simple. Jacksonville enters at 4-3 as favorites against the 2-5 Raiders, who just got embarrassed. 31-0 by Kansas City. Trevor Lawrence is healthy and playing with his full starting offensive line back together. Travis Hunter is out on IR, but the defense led by Hines Allen and Lloyd looks ready to dominate Geno Smith and a struggling Vegas offense that's searching for answers. And Brock Bowers returns from his knee injury to provide a spark, but it won't be nearly enough to overcome Jacksonville's superior talent coaching and momentum coming out of the bye week, ready to take care of business on the road and keep those playoff hopes alive and thriving. Make sure you smash that subscribe button right now. If you're riding with the Jaguars all season long, hit that like button to show your Duval pride and drop a comment answering this question. Who's having the bigger impact today for Jacksonville's win? Trevor Lawrence through the air or Travis Etienne Jr. on the ground? Option A, Trevor Lawrence's arm, or option B, Etienne's legs? Let's hear it in the comments. Jaguars faithful.